Wait, I'm sorry. What do you mean you left your fiance for dead? I'm so confused. What does that mean? Is he okay? Is he still with us or? Oh, happy apple picking day! Just some quick reminders for all of our friends. If you want to transfer your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. I know we've kind of been going back and forth lately about like posting on Tuesdays and on Wednesdays. Bad Apple Day is Tuesday, but while my life is in shambles, sometimes a little day late, like this week. It's fine, it is what it is. So like happy day after apple picking day, I guess. And as always, just a reminder that we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And what that means is that we've all lived different lives and therefore we have different experiences, and those experiences shape our opinions and our perspectives. So like you and I could hear the same exact story and we'll hear it in two completely different ways, and like that happens. It's also possible for different people to have different levels of boundaries and different lines that they don't want crossed. Like we're all different, and that's okay and that's normal. Which is why, as we're discussing down in the comments, we always keep things civil, because sometimes you'll learn something new, sometimes I'll learn something new, sometimes you'll teach somebody something new. No one is ever too old to learn something. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for agreeing with my mom that my wife's pathetic? I, 28 male, have been married to my wife, 31 female, for about a year. Overall, things have been great, but one thing that's been bugging me is my wife doesn't know how to cook. Like, at all. I've always been the one to handle meals, which I was fine with in the beginning because I enjoyed cooking. Over time, it started to wear on me, especially when I come home after a long day and have to cook dinner while she relaxes. She refuses to cook and claims that there's nothing wrong with not being able to cook. It's been an ongoing issue between us, and I've been trying to teach her, but really bad at it. We've had many conversations about this. The other night, my mom, 56 female, came over for dinner. As usual, I was in the kitchen prepping everything, and my wife was sitting with my mother. At one point, my mom offered to help, and I asked if she could make gravy or cut some fruit or something. My wife was standing around the kitchen when my mom handed her a knife and asked her to cut some fruit while she handled the gravy. My wife couldn't even figure out how to properly hold the knife and just ended up making a mess. My mom watched her fail to cut the fruit and then blurted out, "It's honestly kind of pathetic that you don't even know how to cut a piece of fruit at your age." She then went behind her and started to guide her on how to cut stuff like you do with a child. My wife shrugged and finished cutting her fruit with my mom guiding her, and dinner happened, and I noticed that my wife was not happy the whole night. My mom left, and my wife was pissed that I didn't defend her, that I embarrassed her by letting it happen, and we got into a really bad argument. I told her that it is pathetic that she can't even cut fruit. She's older than I am and can't even hold a knife properly. She told me that's not the point and that I needed to defend her and that it's not her fault she's bad at cooking. The point is, I pointed out that it is, and that she's embarrassed because not being able to hold a knife properly is embarrassing for an adult. Well, my wife thinks I'm being a jerk, so am I the bad apple? So I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people in the comments arguing about whether or not they feel like this is like weaponized incompetence or not. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't know enough about that idea and that concept to like really have a strong opinion on that. Do I feel like she can learn how to cut fruit and like help out every now and then? Yeah. I do also have like some other questions of, okay, he's doing all the cooking. Is she doing all the cleaning? Is she doing all the dishes? Like, is that how things are being divided up? And like, that's just information that we don't have here, right? So I don't want to make any like definitive opinions about like those things, because like I don't have all the knowledge and or information, but what I do think is important is this idea or this concept that a lot of people talk about of like defending in public and critiquing in private between partners. I think that's so important. Like, I understand the cooking thing has been an ongoing issue. I understand that like the mom's trying to help and the mom's trying to get her to help because she sees her son doing everything. Like, I get all of these things, but I think it's so important that when someone is putting your significant other down, especially when it's your own parents. I feel like standing up for them in that moment is crucial. And I understand that her not being able to cut a piece of fruit is like a really big deal and is a big contention point in their relationship. Like, for sure, those things need to be talked about. Those things need to be addressed. Even if he voices his opinion that like he thinks it is pathetic, I think that when his mother name called her like that, he needed to say something. So I think I'm going to go crabapple because I don't necessarily disagree with him that there are things that need to be sorted out and like they need to find some kind of compromise so he doesn't feel like he's doing all the work and like she can cut some strawberries for herself. Like, I feel like adults should be able to cut themselves some strawberries. But I don't agree that he let his mother speak to her that way and speak about her that way. Like, I don't agree with that at all, actually. So I'm going to go crabapple. I think there's even a chance that you guys could convince me of bad apple. Again, not for like being upset and wanting to talk to her about the cooking stuff and the food stuff, but for just letting his mother say that to her. Again, defend in public, critique in private. Like, I think that's so important. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming from on that. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for not helping my husband with the kids? My husband and I have both a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. Our 3-year-old daughter is suspected to have autism and we're waiting on an evaluation, but we're all pretty sure she has it. Our 3-year-old is also sick right now with pink eye. Well, last night at dinner, my husband promised our 3-year-old that she can stay up late since she's not going to preschool the next day. I asked, how late? And he said 9. Well, their bedtime is at 7:30 and our routine is important, especially for our 3-year-old. I told him I wasn't gonna be dealing with that mess, that if he wanted to let her stay up late, he can be the one to get her to go to sleep. Well, I got the little one in bed and I watched my husband play with our 3-year-old while I cleaned up. Well, tantrums started at 8 and she was miserable when he got her in the bath at 8:45. She was melting down. Then he got her into bed, but she was so fussy that he ended up having to give her the pacifier that we've been trying to wean her off of and finally brought her to our bed at 9:45. She finally fell asleep by 10, and my husband told me that he was upset with me for leaving him to do everything by himself, even when I knew that they were having a hard time. I told him, weren't you the one that promised our autistic child that she can break from her routine and go to sleep an hour and a half past her bedtime? And you still think that I should have helped clean up the mess that he made? Am I the bad apple for not helping? This is one of those that I'm definitely going to be relying on parents down in the comments. There's just things that like I'm not going to know because I've never lived these lives. I see like 2 different things. I see, obviously the, hey, you wanted to do this, you made this choice, you thought it was a good idea, I told you I wasn't going to help you. Now, like, I'm not going to stress myself out because you decided you wanted to be the fun parent. Like, I can definitely see that. But I can also see, like, this is a 3-year-old who has a disability, who's also sick with pink eye. She's not feeling good. Like, I also don't know how I feel about allowing her to continue to be miserable just to, like, make a point to the husband. You know what I mean? I don't know. And this is where like a lot of y'all's experience will come in. Like, I don't know, is that gonna mess up the rest of her week because she's so thrown off schedule? Is that something that can like make her feel more sick? Like, I don't know. So I definitely want to hear from you guys down in the comments. For now, like until I hear from you guys, I'm personally going to go crabapple, because while I understand the point of like, or at least like making the point of, hey, you wanted to do this backfired, like now my night is also ruined because I gotta clean up the mess. I feel like, he said 9 o'clock, maybe around 9:15, like going and poking my head in and being like, hey, you said 9, I see you're struggling. This is why we don't do those things. So maybe can we like keep this in mind and I'll help you this time. But like, we really shouldn't have done this. This wasn't a great idea. Let's not do it again. I'm not going to help next time. Like, not even, I feel like a lot of people are gonna be like, but he did it, okay? But like, this is still impacting the 3-year-old the most. You know, she's the one that's sick. She's the one that's having a tantrum. She's the one that's not feeling good, and she's tired and cranky. So, like, again, maybe I'm naive, I don't know, but I just feel like using her when she's not in the best spot, like, to make a point, I just don't love that personally. And I think that the point still needs to be made. I just don't like how it was gone about. So that's why I'm feeling more crabapple, but I definitely think, like, I can't wait to, like, read what you guys have to say down in the comments. I definitely think you guys can change my mind because you'll offer perspectives that I just don't have. So yeah, let me know. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for telling my mom and sister to shut the f up? My wife gave birth to our son 6 weeks ago. He's healthy and doing great. My wife is doing okay. Physically, she's pretty much fine, but emotionally, she's very fragile right now. She's dealing with some anxiety post-baby and some other mental health problems she had before pregnancy. She's worked on them in therapy, but pregnancy and the postpartum hormones have flared up some stuff for her, for sure. She's also disappointed that she couldn't breastfeed. She didn't try to, but it's honestly in her best interest not to. And those reasons are not something that she shares openly, but I'm aware, and so is her family, who knows her history. Well, my mom and sister are very pro-breastfeeding, but, like, militant about it. I warned them before my wife gave birth. They were not to try and pressure her or give her helpful tips about when it's not happening. Well, they didn't listen to me, and they tried to bring her information from breastfeeding groups that they're members of, and told her there were 0 reasons for her to not try. I just told them to leave. I let the rest of the family stay since they were good, but I told my mom and sister that they ignored my warnings, and I gave clear ones, so that was their only chance. They were shocked. They said my wife never expressed a good reason for not being able to not breastfeed. I said she doesn't need to answer either of them. It's none of their business. They asked a few other times about when they could visit, and I said not until they understand that they cannot cross that boundary. It's been set. There is no crossing it. Well, they brought me into a group call a few days ago and told me they want to come see us, and I asked if they were going to respect our boundaries. They told me they just want to help. I told them the best help they can give is to shut the f up about being supportive about what she's doing. I said otherwise, their help isn't needed and would not be helpful in any way. Well, they accused me of being too harsh and disrespectful in the way that I was talking to them, and that they feel like they're being punished for looking out for my wife and our son's best interests. I said, you're not doing that. They're doing what they think is best, even after we've told them it's not. So now they're angry that I told them to shut the f up. So am I the bad apple? No. Honestly, I love the support that you're giving your wife. I love this on so many levels. I love that, like, she has reasons that she is not open about explaining to people, and you are respecting that privacy. Like, your mom and your sister are honestly being so nosy and so ridiculous and so intrusive, and even when they're like, well, we just want a reason, we just want, like, and you won't give it to them, and they don't deserve it. I love that decision. I love that, like, you are taking her privacy so serious. Like, I love that. I love that for you. That's a good partner. And I love that, like, you are willing to go to bat for her. Like, you are acknowledging that, you know, she just had a baby, and, like, physically she's fine, but mentally she is not. And so you are fighting those battles, and you're not making her do it, and you're not making her be the bad guy. You are being the bad guy for your family. And we love this. Where's the green flag guy? Like, I want to be his friend. I need to meet him. I love this. You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing amazing, sweetie. I don't remember where that meme is from. It's like 4 in the morning. I'm so tired. I'm, like, delirious at this point. But no, you are being the exact kind of partner that your wife needs. Not only, like, deserves, but needs. Or maybe not only needs, but, like, deserves. Whichever way that should fit. And that's just wonderful. Like, that's so beautiful to see. So keep doing what you're doing, because it's good stuff. Good apple. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for leaving my fiance for dead? I, 35 female, recently separated from my fiance, 35 male, due to his excessive drinking. We are still close and regularly see each other. After taking him to the ER the other night, I brought him back, and he said he just wanted to chill solo, so I left. I attempted to message him, but I didn't hear back. This is unusual for him, but I just wanted to respect his boundaries. Well, late that night, probably around 10 p.m., my ex's mother woke me up calling to ask me to go over there and check on him. I had a key and she doesn't, so that's why she needed me to go do it. I declined because I was sleeping. She just woke me up, and I figured he was just ignoring both of us because he was drinking. And to be frank, I'm sick of the drinking and having to care for him all the time. I'm sick of begging him to do things like get out of a urine-soaked bed so I can get him to try and clean it and get him dry, and I'm sick of the relentless drunk screaming and crying. I'm burnt out. I'm done. I left him. She ended up calling for a welfare check, and when the police came, he was so drunk and severely ill. The doctor said he probably would have unalived if he hadn't been brought in that night. It was to the point that the hospital refused to release him when he tried to leave AMA, and got the police and county attorney involved to force him to stay. His mom was pissed at me and refused to tell me. Like, I only found out a few days later that he's in the ICU on a ventilator. I feel incredibly guilty that it was in my hands alone, and that someone that I cared about would be unalived. So I need to know, was I the bad apple? I think that this is a very delicate issue that has a lot of layers. And so, like, for me right now, I'm kind of teetering between crab apple and bad apple. And here's why. Hear me out for a second. I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, deciding to leave a relationship and just wanting to be done and not wanting to have to be responsible for it. Not, like, right? Like, you left because of the drinking. You don't want to still be dragged into the excessive drinking problems. Like, that's why you left. However, if that's the case, why... And you know that, like, there's going to be times where people need to check on him and people want to make sure he's okay and like all that things, right? Why do you still have the only key that can do that? Like, you want to be done. Okay, you want to be done. Why would you not, like, give his mother the key then? Why, when she's calling you and saying, hey, I'm worried, I can't go over there, I don't have a key, why would you not offer to, like, put it under your mat? Or, like, hey, you can come get the key from me? Or, like, do I think that you have to be the only one responsible? No, but, like, you're also now preventing other people from checking in. Like, you're preventing his mom to take on that role from you, right? And, like, I don't get why you're surprised that she didn't immediately call you that he's in the hospital. Like, you didn't want to go check on him. She was worried. She asked you to check in on him. You were like, no, you don't want to, which valid, but you didn't even offer to, like, let her take the key. She had to call the police to go check on him, and he was in danger. Well, like, in her mom mind, you kind of just, like, left him there. And again, was it your responsibility to be the one to care for him? No. But by you hanging on to that key, you disallowed someone else from taking on that role. So, like, why would she call you? You're not engaged to him anymore. You left the relationship. You're not the fiance. You're not in the relationship, and you didn't want to be involved. Like, you said, no, I don't want to have to go check on him. I don't want to have to go care for him. So, like, why would you be an immediate thought to call? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know why that surprises you. I'm teetering between crab apple and bad apple. Here's the thing. I agree with the idea that you need to be done. I don't like the way that you went about it, right? But I feel like this is such a severe situation. Like, it's not just like, oh, I don't want to be involved in drama. Like, this is a really serious situation that I feel like because of the severity, it has to be escalated, in my opinion. And there might be some perspectives I'm not thinking of. Again, I'm, like, recording this at 4 a.m, y'all. Like, I'm so tired. So, like, yeah, there might be some things that I'm not thinking of, but, like, for me, the whole idea of, like, you holding on to the key, not offering to leave it under a mat, like, you're purposely keeping someone else from, like, being that caretaker for him, is putting him in danger. And I just feel like that is such a severe issue. Like, he's on a ventilator right now. Like, that's not just a oops, whoopsie, I should have handled it better. Like, that's a serious thing. So I feel like the severity is what has me going for bad apple instead of crab apple, if that makes sense. But if there's anyone that, like, thinks that's a little harsh, like, I'm definitely willing to hear you out in the comments. But for me, that's a really big deal. And my entire opinion would just be changed if you just offered, hey, I'm gonna leave the key under the mat. You're welcome to come grab it. But I can't be this in this role anymore. I can't be that person for him. And then like putting the ball in mom's court. But for me, like you holding onto that key keeps it in your court, you know? Personally, that's what I feel like. So, it is National Moldy Cheese Day. Ugh. And National Take Your Parents to Lunch Day. So I know some people love blue cheese. I'm not a fan, okay? To be fair, I've only really smelled blue cheese. I've never tasted it. And I have a reason, okay? I'm allergic to penicillin, and blue cheese and penicillin have similar properties, so I've just never chanced it. Is it probably fine? Yes, but that's my excuse, okay? So I'm just gonna celebrate National Take Your Parents to Lunch Day, and I'm gonna call my mom after I wake up in the morning and see where she wants to go to lunch. She'll probably say like kava or something like that. That's very Michelle. Let me know in the comments which one you're celebrating, and if you're taking your parents to lunch, definitely let me know where you're taking them. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.